So let's begin our session for today. So this is your Pranayama class, and we are going to begin with today's session. So sit comfortably wherever you are. Keep your back and neck straight. And once you feel ready, very gently close your eyes. Bring your attention to the natural flow of your breath. Just observe the pure breath. Slowly shift your attention to your body. Become aware of your posture and check your alignment. Your back and neck should be straight. Your weight should be equally balanced on both your hips. Face, neck and shoulders should be relaxed. Overall, your entire body should be comfortable and there should be a sense of stability. Now slowly bring your attention back to your breathing and begin to deepen the breath. Slow, long and deep inhalations. Slow, long and deep exhalations. We will open today's session by chanting Om 3 times, followed by the Guru Mantra. If you know the mantra, you can chant along with me, and if you don't know it, you can simply listen to the mantra. Take a deep inhalation for Om. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Take a deep Breath in for Om. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Feel the vibrations. Join both your palms together and begin to rub your palms together. Keep the palms on the eyes. Very slowly, while blinking and looking at your palms, begin to open up the eyes, coming back with a big smile on your face. Om Shanti and Namaste. Let us begin today's session. So in the previous few sessions, we have discussed very deeply what is the meaning of pranayama, and we have also covered a few more concepts which are like, it's good if you know about those concepts when you are starting on the journey of pranayama, right? And we have already started with the first practice, which was the practice of natural breathing, which we again covered yesterday. And today we are going to step into our next practice. So all of these practices that we are doing, these are actually pre-practices of pranayama. Okay, so right now we are not practicing pranayama. We are rather preparing for pranayama, because pranayama requires a lot of preparation. Okay, and the practice that we are going to do today, it is one of the most essential practices, and I would recommend that throughout the month, even if you don't go for any other practices, today what we are going to learn, you should keep this practice for the remaining of the month, right? So for all of your classes, this practice is going to be a part of all of your classes somewhere or the other. But again, it is a preparatory practice. It will make you ready for the pranayama practices, and hence it is very important. Why? Because if the preparation is good, then when you move to the next level, you will be able to do it correctly. But if your foundation is not good, these are the foundational practices, then if the foundation becomes shaky, then the main practice, that will also be shaky. So what is going on is, these days people are focusing on pranayama, but they are not focusing on these pre-practices, right? So when you begin your classes also, you can emphasize on the importance of the pre-practices, and they have wonderful impact on our entire system as well, right? So before we begin today's practice, I want to briefly discuss about the prana. Prana is nothing but the life force. Okay, so in last class again I discussed more deeply, but a very short summarization of that. So you can live with like holding the breath for some time, right? But if the prana escapes your body, you cannot stay alive, right? So prana and breath, even though prana is forming, you can say, the breath is forming one part of prana, but it is not the entire concept of prana, right? So the life force is not merely just the intake of oxygen and the expulsion of carbon dioxide. It is something more than that, right? So today I want to talk briefly about prana, right, this life force, and how it is influenced, right? So first thing we need to know that this prana, it is also influenced by other things in our life, right? Like, when you step into yogic practices immediately, and especially if you read more deeply about pranayama, you will see that the diet is immediately regulated when you go into these practices, because diet forms one of the sources of acquiring energy, right? So prana is greatly influenced by what you eat. Okay, so if you eat food which energizes you, you will feel, of course, more energetic, right? You will feel more light. right? And then there are food items which also, drain you out, right? Like fast food or junk food. So you might like the taste a lot, but at the end of the day, the digestion is taking up so much energy that the food isn't able to compensate for the energy of digestion, right? So food is supposed to give you energy rather than take energy away from you. So there are some food items which will deplete the prana, right? So you have to be careful of those food items, and hence maintaining a healthy diet when you are into yogic practices will highly influence the quality of your practice, right? So the food items which give you more energy, of course, have more prana, right? Now, one more thing you would have observed, when you do pranayama, before that in most classes you would first move your body a little bit, do a few sun salutations, do a few asanas, and then you sit down and do pranayama practices, right? So the overall health of the body, this exercising of the body, again make sure that the prana in the body, this energy in the body, it is flowing properly and freely, right? When you get a disease, means this energy, it has been blocked somewhere, right? That is why if you have ever heard of practices like Reiki, they work. Why? Because they are working on a very deep level and they are trying to remove that energy blockage in a way, right? So again, when you maintain the health of the body, when you maintain a good diet, you become ready for pranayama, right? Prana is very closely interlinked to the direct physical health of your body and the food you consume, okay? Now, a few more things that, what is the relevance of pranayama, you can say, vaguely you can say this thing, right? So, breathing is a very essential part of pranayama, right? It is the way in which we are able to access, right, or practice the various techniques, right? So, what are we doing when we do pranayama, right? So we are basically essentially slowing down the breathing process somewhere, right? Most of the times we are just taking the breath at a slower pace, right? So why is this emphasized a lot, especially in pranayama practices, right? A normal person takes about 14 to 15 breaths in 1 minute. Okay, so we are currently taking around 14 to 15 breaths in 1 minute. Okay, which will be multiplied by the number of minutes in a day, and it will come out to be a very large number. So every day we are, taking a lot of breaths basically, right? And it is said in yogic texts that these breaths, we come with a fixed number of breaths, all right? So you will see this thing like, the bank account balance, right? So you have, suppose, say you have 100 rupees, right, or whatever your currency is, you have $100, you have 100 euros, right, in the bank account. So now what you can do, you can spend them immediately, right, very fast. People who cannot save, they just spend whatever they earn, right? Or you could choose to spend it slowly, right? So when you do pranayama, when you even prepare for pranayama, what you actually essentially do is you are spending that same amount that has been given to you at a slower pace, right? Which again leads to, if now I have, suppose I have come here with 100 breaths, but in 1 minute I am just taking, suppose, 5 breaths, right, instead of 15. So of course I will have a longer period of time, right? So hence you will see pranayama practitioners, especially strong pranayama practitioners, they live a very long and healthy life. Why? Because they figured out the secret, right? You have a fixed number of breaths. So when they practice pranayama, they increase the time duration they take, or they put a pause on the breathing process itself, right? And hence they are able to stretch that time period, right? Because they have more breaths left, right? So how did the yogi come to this conclusion, right? There must be something which led the yogi to this conclusion as well, that okay, breathing is connected. So yogis, they observed the nature around them very closely, very minutely. And when they came into this observation of the nature, they saw this very common pattern. Okay, the common pattern was what? The animals which were breathing very fast, right? They had a short lifespan. Again, same point only, right? So if you observe a dog, right? So next time you come across a dog, just observe the dog. The dog breathes at a faster pace than we do, right? And you know that they live shorter lives than we do, right? And marginally shorter lives, right? But if you look at a tortoise, right, or if you closely observe an elephant, right, they take their time to breathe, right? So they will have very few breaths in a minute, right? And you can see just this small change, impacts the amount of time of their life so drastically, right? They have a very, very long life, right, compared to human beings, right? So the main factor that was noticed when the pranayama techniques were developed was this only. Yogis observed the nature very closely, and in fact most of the yogic practices have come from their observation of nature only, right? So the yogi experimented, right, and tried to come to a place where they were able to slow down the breathing, and they saw this thing that their body, they're able to live for a longer period of time, basically, right? So the prana, the breath, the mind, they are very closely interlinked, and through these subtle observations that were made, a lot of conclusions were drawn, and hence you will see all the benefits of pranayama. I will not enlist all of them, but so many benefits of pranayama are coming out of just this basic logical reasoning only, that they observed the nature and they found out certain hints, they picked up certain hints, they found out certain details or little things in nature which led them to the understanding of the kind of relation all of these things have. Prana is closely interconnected to your physical health, also to your mental health as well, right? So through the practices of pranayama, you deeply work on a lot of aspects, even though your target is one, but you are also touching other areas, right? Like again I have elaborated in the previous few classes, right? So let's come to our practice for today, which is the most essential one. Like I said, throughout the course I would really recommend you guys to just follow through these practices throughout, right, the entire month. So today's practice is called abdominal breathing. Okay, ABDOMINAL, abdominal breathing. Okay, this is also famously called the diaphragmatic breathing. Okay, so this is a very important technique. Why? Because it is the best way to breathe throughout your day. All right. So if you have ever observed a little child, right, and you observe how they are breathing, right, so you will come across this observation that the stomach of the child keeps moving when they breathe, right? And when you observe adults, you will see that their chest keeps on moving, right? When they are breathing, mostly their chest is moving. Their abdomen is not playing much of a role, right? So abdominal breathing, as the name suggests, is when you breathe in and out and there is movement in the abdomen. Okay, so let's come to the understanding of why this is called abdominal breathing, right? So it's not as if you are filling in the air in the abdomen. Scientifically the air is getting filled in the lungs. That is where the exchange of the gases is taking place. So then why is this breathing called abdominal breathing? So the basic understanding of this is that if you Google search also the lungs, right, and you look at the various lobes of the lungs, so you will see this thing that our right side, the right lung, it is divided into 3 lobes, okay, the lower lobe, middle lobe, and then the upper lobe. And left side is only divided into 2 because of the presence of the heart, right. So over there only 2 divisions are made, but for the sake of these classes, for the sake of understanding what is the impact, where we are feeling the impact, we are going to assume that overall the lungs are divided in 3 lobes only, right. We are just going to make this assumption, even though it is not factually correct, right. Left side has only 2 lobes, but just to understand the target area more clearly, let us go with the assumption of the right lung only, that there are 3 lobes, right. So now when most of the adults they breathe, they are mainly moving their chest to breathe. So in this, the middle lobe of the lungs, that gets oxygenation, right, but the lower lobe and the upper lobe, they are not getting proper oxygenation. Currently the way in which we are breathing, it is the wrong breathing pattern, okay. So these practices will help you to correct the breathing pattern overall. Your normal breathing pattern needs to be corrected currently, right. Abdominal breathing is the starting point for it, right. So when you do abdominal breathing, because you take the air in properly, what happens is that the lungs, they are below the lungs there is a muscle that we have, right, and that muscle is called diaphragm, right. Diaphragm is a dome shaped muscle, right, below the lungs, right, and when the lungs expand and contract, this muscle somewhere supports this movement, right. So this diaphragm which is present below the lungs, when you move it in such a way, when you take the breath in such a way that it is oxygenating the lower lobes of the lung, right. So what happens when you breathe in, the abdomen, it moves out, okay, and when you breathe out, the abdomen moves in, right. So when you breathe in, because now the lower lobes are getting oxygenated, as a result of that the diaphragm moves down, and for you consciously you are just making one movement, right. Consciously you are just expanding your belly when you breathe, and you are contracting your belly when you exhale. But I am telling you the internal movement also, or the internal dynamics, what is happening when you do abdominal breathing. So when you exhale, you push the tummy back in, right, and as a result the diaphragm also moves up and the air is expelled out of the system. This is the most efficient way of breathing. So most of the adults, why are they doing chest breathing? Because they forget to switch back to the abdominal breathing, right. So suppose you have some situation in your life which it's really stressing you out, right. So when you get stressed, your breathing gets impacted, okay. So when the breathing is getting impacted, what is happening? You switch more to the chest breathing, right. And when the situation passes also, you forget to come back to the abdominal breathing, right. So this is what is causing a very major problem. Why? Because even though the stress situation has passed, your body is still experiencing that thing, right, through the breathing pattern it has adopted. So the earlier you become aware of this thing, and the earlier you become aware of the practice of abdominal breathing, the better you are able to tackle, right, this thing. So at least you can stop the continuity of the response of the body to stress, right. So now next time, whenever you get time during the day or you become aware, just see how you are breathing, and if you feel you are breathing through the chest, switch back to abdominal breathing, right. So abdominal breathing, I will just demonstrate one time. The best thing about most of the pre-practices is you can either do them sitting up straight or you can lie down as well, right. So ideally pranayama practices are done in sitting posture only, but the pre-practices can also be done in a laying position, and abdominal breathing is a great practice be it for your overall well-being, the functioning of your body, the oxygenation of the blood. And this practice has no contraindications, means everybody can do this practice. So whatever age group you are in, whatever condition you have, it doesn't matter. Abdominal breathing does no harm, right? So for you guys, where you can place abdominal breathing, you can either place it in the beginning of your classes, right, or you can even close your sessions with this. And because it is a preparatory practice of pranayam, you can also place it after the asana practice and before the pranayam practice, right. So these are three places where you can place the practice of abdominal breathing in your class. Abdominal breathing, because of its nature, it stimulates the entire abdominal region and it gives a very relaxing and soothing state of mind, right. All the processes of the body, they begin to come back to their base position basically, right. So your parasympathetic nervous system, the system of the body which is associated with relaxation, that gets activated when you go for continuous abdominal breathing. If anybody has insomnia, any kind of anger issues, anything of this sort, abdominal breathing will always help. Okay, you can just lie down, do abdominal breathing for a while and you will yourself see the change, right. So I will just demonstrate the practice once and then we are going to practice together just to see the impact of and the power of this practice, right. So I will demonstrate while sitting, but you can lie down, and in fact when you lie down you will be able to experience this practice better. Okay, so I would recommend that if you have the space, you should lie down. Okay, so you do nothing, you place one of the hands, it's up to you, right or left, on your abdominal region. The other hand can rest on your knee, and when you exhale, feel the abdomen go in. Now your target is to take the abdomen as inward as possible, right, because exhalation is going to become the basis for proper inhalation, right. So if you don't exhale properly, your inhalation will also not take a good pace, right. So first when we begin, we exhale completely, try to contract the abdomen as much as possible, and then as you begin to inhale, feel the abdomen rise. Once you reach your maximum capacity, you don't have to hold the breathing. Again, you can go directly into the exhalation process. And during the exhalation, again you have to make sure that you can bring your navel as close to the spine as possible, right. So inhale, abdomen out, exhale, abdomen in. This is supposed to be done continuously. Eventually, once you start doing abdominal breathing, you won't have to put your hand on the abdomen. Your awareness will be very strongly on the abdominal region, so you will feel the movement. And eventually you will also do this practice in a more natural manner. Initially it will be automatic. Suppose you have to remind yourself 5-7 times in the day that I have to do abdominal breathing. After a particular amount of time, abdominal breathing will become your natural way of breathing only, right. So you will not have to put in effort like this. Is the technique of abdominal breathing clear? Any questions, any doubts? No?
No questions, thank you.
Awesome, great, alright. So we will practice for a while then. For the remaining of the session, we are going to see whatever I have said, is it true or not, right. So at the end of the session, your own experience will tell you, right. Keep your attention focused on the abdomen when you are doing this practice, And also try to make sure that you are taking equal amount of time to inhale and exhale, right. So initially you can go with a little bit of natural flow of the breath, and then as you enter more deeply into the practice, you can begin to gain control, okay, gain control over the breathing, dictate how long you want to take to breathe in and how long you want to take to breathe out, right. So slowly begin to acquire little bit control over the breathing process, and this will also even correct your posture, because right now I don't know, for a lot of beginners abdominal breathing seems more straining than other breathings. It's because their posture is not correct. So if that happens with you, it's completely alright. When you continuously practice abdominal breathing, you will yourself see that your posture is becoming much more better as well with this kind of breathing, right. So if you have the space, I would suggest that you lie down in Shavasana, keeping your legs apart and feet are falling outward, and you can keep the hands away from your body, palms should face upwards, just as much as taking as much distance from the body as is required to relax your neck and shoulders, right. And entire spine should be straight, so keep your neck straight if you are lying down. If you are sitting up like me, just make sure that your entire spine is again straight and your weight is equally balanced on both your hips, right. Sit comfortably and close your eyes. If you are lying down, then relax your body and then close the eyes. And begin to connect with the spontaneous or natural flow of your breathing. Try to shift your focus towards the breath and start disconnecting with all the external noises, sounds, any form of distraction. Slowly shift your attention to your body and try to relax your body as much as possible while maintaining the few basics, which is the spine should be straight. If you are lying down, leave your body loose, allow your body to relax as much as is possible. For a few breaths, we will follow the breathing, right, like we had done yesterday. So just follow my instructions, and that will help you to understand the process that I am talking about. Before we step into abdominal breathing, we are going to repeat yesterday's practice, the practice of natural breathing. So keeping your hands down only, exhale fully. As you begin to inhale, begin to follow your breath as it enters through your nostrils, and as it goes down and you feel it touching at the back of your mouth and then going down, feeling the breath enter your throat and finally reaching the lungs. Just expand the rib cage. And after you inhale fully, begin to relax your lungs and feel the breath as it moves out from the lungs to the to the throat, to the back of the mouth and out through your nostrils. So we are just simply following our breath. Inhale and again begin to follow the breath. Exhale and follow the breath. So take your own time. We're going to practice this for a few more cycles. Keep following the breath and keep your awareness, your attention completely focused on how your breath is moving. Entering your system and then moving out of your system. Keep on following. And as you do so, feel your breath deepen as well. And after your next exhalation, just suspend your practice. Come back to the natural flow of your breath. Simply observe the changes that this simple practice has brought to both your breathing and the state of your mind. We are going to prepare for the main practice. So keep your back and neck straight if you are sitting. If you are lying down, just gently bring your hand back, place it on your abdomen. Exhale fully. And as you begin to inhale, expand your abdomen. Feel the abdomen rise out. Once you inhale fully, go into the exhalation process. Contract your abdomen properly so that all air can be expelled out of your system. Just continue this process, inhaling and exhaling continuously. Keep your focus on the movement of your abdomen. If your mind is wandering, if your mind is, again and again going in different directions, you have to bring it back to this movement of the abdomen. Stick to your practice. Make sure that each and every inhalation, each and every exhalation, both of them are equal. And begin to gain more control over your own breathing process as you go deeply into the practice of abdominal breathing. Experiencing the beautiful, calming and peaceful feeling. As you go more deeply into this process. Just a few more breaths. After your next exhalation, Suspend your practice, relax your hand. Simply observe the natural flow of your breathing and see what changes have come up after your practice. If you are lying down in Shavasana or if you are sitting up, in both cases, start becoming aware of the posture of your body. Start connecting with all the sounds that are around you. Begin to move your fingers and toes very gently. Start coming back. If you are lying down, join both the legs together, form a cushion with your left hand and turn towards the left side, placing the right hand on the ground. As and when you feel ready, gently lift your body up, come in any comfortable sitting posture where your back and your neck remain straight. Just see how your breath has changed. We are going to close today's session by chanting Om one time, followed by the Shanti Mantra. So if you know the Shanti Mantra, you can chant along with me. Before we begin, take one deep breath. Inhale deeply. Exhale deeply. Inhale deeply for Om. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah. Sarve santu niramaya. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Ma kaschit dukhabhag bhavet. Ma kaschit dukhabhag bhavet. Take a deep breath in for Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Feel the vibrations. Join both your palms together, gently bow down. We'll take a few moments for a sense of gratitude. And now begin to rub your palms together. Place them on your eyes. We will repeat this 2 more times. So rub your palms together. Keep them on the eyes. One last time. Rub your palms together properly. Generate proper heat between both the palms. Keep them on the eyes. When you feel ready, very slowly, while blinking and looking at your palms, open up your eyes. Come back with a big smile on your face. Om Shanti. Namaste. Any doubts, queries, questions related to today's session? Any difficulties that you faced during your practice?
No, it was very, very clear and very comfortable as well. Thank you.
That's great, awesome. So you are able to access all the classes. I also meant to ask this. You are able to access all the classes now?
Sorry?
You are able to access all the classes now?
I'm supposed to access all the classes, yes.
You have the correct link and you have all the correct details, right? To join the classes?
I had a problem with
Yes.
I stayed on the second, yes. I was the one asking all the questions.
Yes.
And I had a problem connecting with the live classes. Only 2 days that I could do it. Sorry for that.
That's why I'm just checking in because you are here. So I hope there are no issues anymore. But if there are, please drop a message. Please feel free.
Okay. Yes. Before it was a problem. Now it's okay. Thank you so much.
Great. Awesome. So I will see you tomorrow for philosophy class.
Yes.
Yes. Take care and bye-bye.